platform of Faculty of Law, GLS Law College, GLS University. I wish a blessed and beautiful morning to our respected guest, Mr. Rajesh Shah sir, our director ma'am, Dr. Mayuri Pandya ma'am, my colleagues and my beloved students and the viewers of this webinar. To protect our Mother Earth, today we have gathered here to celebrate the World Environment Day 2022 with the green wishes and the colorful hearts. Now, I would like to request the powerhouse with the high voltage dedication and the proud face of GLS Law, Director Dr. Mayuri Pandya ma'am, a distinguished academician and the environmentalist herself, for her welcome address. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Jia. या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः. I bow down to Vidya Shakti present in one and all who have joined today virtually with all to you. I welcome on behalf of Faculty of Law GLS University to all of you on this e-platform of GLS Law College. Today, a very special guest, Shri Rajesh Shah sir, is with us, the Managing Director of the Vikas NGO, a person who himself is an architect, and I was fortunate to work with him and to observe him for 6 years as one of the co-member at the SEAC, the State Environment Appraisal Committee of the state of Gujarat. I have worked for the 2 terms with sir, and I have always admired him, and I have seen that whenever any proponent come with any of the project, and being the architect and environmentalist, the kind of the queries he will put before the project proponents. Sir, I remember, I feel nostalgia and I remember all those today. We are very fortunate that you have accepted our invitation and you are with us. My students and all the faculty members are eagerly awaiting to hear you. Today is a very special day. As such, tomorrow is a very special day, the 5th June 2022. So we are celebrating today Environment Day, the World Environment Day today, because the sir's availability was today. So we are celebrating it today. We know that the World Environment Day is celebrated on 5th of June, and it started from 1972 with the Stockholm Conference. And if everybody is aware that that Stockholm Conference, if you see the title of the Stockholm Conference, it is the United Nations Human Environment. So I think that even before the 5 decades, you know that we are completing the 50 years, but even before the 5 decades, it was the anthropocentric, not ecocentric. Because if you see the title of the that declaration, you will find that the human environment. So human is the center. So it is anthropocentric. And now there is a need that we need to think and we need to change our mindsets to the ecocentric. The reason being, and the evidence is that this particular decade is declared as by the United Nations as the for the restoration of the ecosystems. So we must, as a responsible global member, it's not only we are the citizens, we are the global citizens. And so far as the environmental issues and the problems are concerned, all the issues and the problems are global because we act somewhere and its impact is in some other country. So we have to think and we have to contribute for the restoration of the ecosystems in our country. And today is the best day to remind ourselves, each one of us, that we have to take a Harit pledge and we have to commit ourselves to, to for the restoration of the ecosystems. We are very fortunate, friends. This is especially for all of you, my students. We are very fortunate that today Rajesh sir is with us. You must have heard about the Great Wall of China. Every one of us. It is very much well known. Today is a person with us whose his dream started before 4 decades. And today that has come into the reality. I don't know how many of you are aware about it, but there is a great green wall of Gujarat. Have you ever thought of a green wall? Yes. There is in your own state itself, you will find a great green wall of Gujarat state. You must have many questions that how come it is possible, where it is, how it is. Sir Vikas, his NGO is working on a very grassroots level for the climate change and especially his true contribution or at the grassroots level for the green wall of Gujarat. So he is with us. Sir, we are eagerly awaiting to hear a word from you. And today, as Gia must have appraised you, that my all the students together, faculties and the students, we are going to take the Harit pledge. We know that the Honorable Prime Minister of the country, he has the under the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, there is a Harit pledge that, and we thought of that today is the best day, being an environment day. So we together will take Harit pledge after your speech. So this is how we will go about it. Uh, my request to each and everyone who has joined today, please carefully be with us and I heartily welcome each one of you who have joined. Thank you so much. Over to
Thank,
Gia.
thank you, ma'am, for very warm welcome address. Now I would like to take an opportunity to introduce the keynote speaker of today's webinar, Mr. Rajesh Shah, sir. Sir is an architect by profession and the managing director of Vikas Center for Development, an NGO. Sir has 45 years of rich experience in social sector. Shah sir is a founder and the MD of Save Limited, a non-profit technical service organization focused on combating the climate change through the afforestation and the promotion of renewable energy products. In the year 1984 and 85, Sir has prepared a city-wide slum upgrading project for Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation for World Bank funding 82,500 families. In 1993-94, Sir has conducted a slum upgradation training program under the ACHR in Thailand, covering the Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and India. In 1995 to 2002, Sir has conducted the Integrated Watershed Development Program. Since 2008, Sir introduced a solar pump in salt production in the Little Run of Kutch. Sir is also a member of various government committees like Gujarat Coastal Zone Management Authority, State Expert Appraisal Committee, Expert Appraisal EAC, and CRZ Committee, Government of India from 2019 to 2020. Sir is also the visiting faculty as various renowned institute for housing studies, Netherlands School of Planning and Architect, Center for Environment Planning and Technology, Entrepreneurship Institute of India, Ahmedabad. Sir had been the finalist of Amazing Indian Times Now TV featured in Down to Earth Bloomberg TV India in year 2012. Sir over to you. We all are eagerly waiting for your special lecture on World Environment Day. Thank you, sir.
Good morning to all of you. Mayuriben and Jia, thanks for the kind words and appreciation of our work. Uh, I first of all would like to convey my best wishes to all of you for the World Environment Day to be celebrated tomorrow. I think uh, Mayuriben has already emphasized the importance of such a day and follow up in Harit Pledge to be done today because I think environment is becoming more and more important and relevant to our life, particularly in the recent years of because of climate change that is taking place, which is cutting across all our aspects of our life. I, at the outset, would like to sort of say that I'm a practitioner. I am not a theoretician. So naturally, I am going to talk about what we have been doing as practice in the rural areas instead of really talking about theoretical concepts. So let me share the journey of last 45 years with some of our colleagues who have been able to sort of we have been able to sort of work on these issues. Basically, let me begin at the beginning. I, as an architect, and I'm talking to you as so a lot of there are a lot of students in this webinar. That how a young man at the age of 24, 25, searching for relevant work and opportunity to sort of address the concerns and issues prevalent that time. I, at the age of 24, 25, got the opportunity after graduating from School of Architecture, SEPT, to go into rural areas for 6 months to work under a Gandhian called Jogataram Dave for 6 months in South Gujarat. This was under a fellowship called PACE, Program to Advance Creativity and Entrepreneurship. Following that, I came back and I thought of starting an organization which was called Vikas Center for Development. And at the age of 26, we started this organization. Basic concern of this organization is to address the issues of poverty and underdevelopment. And I got the first opportunity to engage in a block called Jambusar Taluka in Bharuch district, which is a very backward region of Gujarat. It is in 42 talukas assessment done by the state. It was at the bottom of it, where environment, ecological degradation, and poverty were very much present there. We were asked to sort of look at the area and study and find out what are the possible things that one can do to improve the employment opportunities in this taluka. This was the time when I spent about 6 months in this region, which is about 150 kilometers down south from Ahmedabad. And I discovered and got a shock of my life. I found out that there were about 3,000 to 4,000 families who were bonded laborers, which are called Chakar and Paniari. And we started sort of trying to understand what is this prevalence of bondedness and why it is happening. And we found out, to our surprise, that degradation of natural resources along the coast were responsible for the poverty in the region. So, poverty linked with degradation of natural resources was very evident in that area. And we realized how this is impacting the lives of the people. We found out during our study that out of 30 years, 22 years were drought years. The rains were only 8 to 10 inches. The land had become saline. The green cover that was there on the coast had gone away because of the drought. And people were actually suffering a lot. And 90% of the people were dependent on primary sector activity of agriculture, animal husbandry, and fisheries, which was actually being pursued as a low investment, low return activity. And I realized that to bring people out of this environmental degradation resulting into poverty, to sort of change the entire thing, we need to organize these people and try and improve the natural resources in such a way that it will address twin issues of poverty as well as upgrade the natural resources. And that is where the whole idea of Great Green Wall of Gujarat was born. This was about 45 years back. We had visualized that we need to bring back our coastal belt and green wall along the coast of Gujarat, which is very necessary to improve the quality of life of the people there in those regions. And today, what I'm going to share with you is the entire journey of that effort, which my colleagues have made over a period of last 4.5 decades. uh, Basic uh, thing that we have done is to sort of organize these communities, make them aware about why the poverty is there and how we can actually address this issue through improving the quality of natural resources. So, may I request the presentation to be flashed? Jia, hello. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can
I'm
we?
just, yes, sir.
Can you?
Yes.
The first page. The first page. The first page.
Yes, sir. I'm just going back.
Basically, it's a search, and it's a search for sustainable development. Next. Well, already Jia has already talked about me. What is Vikas? So Vikas is a non-government organization, and it is focusing on the issues of environment, ecology, development linked with poverty alleviation, livelihood enhancement, marginalized communities of the area. Vikas works with coastal marginalized communities, which include agriculture laborers, small and marginal farmers, fishermen, salt producers, and people who are producing charcoal out of flora. Next. Our focus areas are natural resource degradation, generation of greenhouse gases, and waste management. And as a result of that, what are the different initiatives that we have come up with? Next. Over a period of last 45 years, we have we have created a mangrove forest of about 2,000 hectares. This means about 50 to 60 lakh plants. 17-kilometer long bioshield, which is a great green wall of Gujarat. Watershed development covering 20,000 acres of agricultural land. Revitalized about 200 hectares of wasteland. Installed 362 solar pumps. And we have presence in about 10,000 families in 65 villages of Jambusar, Wagra, Amod, and Surendranagar districts. Next. Um, Let me start the process where we began. When we did the study, we realized that there is a poverty linked with degradation of natural resources. This was because of recurring droughts and floods, salinity and soil erosion. About 50% of the workforce was engaged in agricultural laborers. You would be surprised when I started, the wage rates were 1.5 rupee to 2 rupee per day, and they were working for 120 days in a year. So rest of the time they don't have work, and hence because of that there was a heavy indebtedness and poverty. The rate at which they were borrowing money was 10% per month, 120% per year. Now they cannot ever repay that, and therefore they had to get bonded. Next. The landless agriculture laborers trapped in the cycle of borrowing and bondage. In order to meet two ends, they were borrowing money at 10% per month. Since they cannot repay, hence the work of chakar and paniari. In 1978, there were about 20,000 persons engaged in chakar and paniari. At present, this number stands about 1,500 to 2,000. Next. What we did was, our approach was, we realized that the strength of the poor is their number. And so we started mobilizing these people. It took about 15 years to organize these communities, help them access unutilized common property resources. There are wastelands, surplus agricultural land, water tanks. Surplus agricultural land was collected under Rural Land Ceiling Act. So we try to sort of identify those resources, develop those resources in partnership with them such that it gives them short-term employment, medium-term income, and long-term improvement of quality of natural resources. Increase their access to technology, institutional credit, and markets. Next. So there are some slides of the process that we went through with the communities. Next, we took out rallies and sort of presented our demands to the government. Next, there are some slides of that. We walked through the streets of Jambusar town with about 3,000 men and women. Next, next. And as a result of that, government was kind enough to give us wastelands, village ponds, and surplus agriculture land. This happened between 78 and 95. Next. So it took 15 years. As a result of that, we got 1400 acre of wastelands with 400 Rathod families, that is about agriculture laborers. 1500 acre of surplus agriculture land to 600 agriculture laborers, did about 9,000 hectare of watershed development, and mangrove plantation about 1200 hectare. This was during this period. Next, the some of the photographs of the work that we did with wastelands. Next, when we started in 95, 96, the quality of land was this. The quality of land was very poor, hostile nature, and we had poor people with us, and we had to change this quality of land. Next, we went to Friends of Women's World Banking to get the credit to develop these assets. Next, we started building check dams to connect water. Next, this fresh water was harvested behind these check dams. Next, and this is the kind of water bodies that we created, and that improved the quality of land. What you saw in the beginning is now become like this. Next, and today people are using this land as agriculture land. Fisheries have come about, and people are doing organic manure and agriculture. Now, what I'm trying to sort of share here is that it is possible to mobilize communities, get the common property resources which are degraded, improve those resources through the hard work, and create water bodies, create forestation, agriculture, and all that will help ultimately improve the economic status of the people as well as improve the quality of natural resources. And therefore, the economic development and environmental development are interlinked, and they are helping the local communities. Next. While we were doing all that, we realized that there was a depletion of mangroves along the coast of Gujarat, particularly in this region. So we approached Gujarat Ecology Commission. That time, Mr. Hasmukh Shah was the president, chairman of Gujarat Ecology Commission. We requested him to look into the matter and see if we can do something about improving the mangrove cover in the coast of Gujarat. And he was kind enough to help us create a program called REMAG, Regeneration of Mangroves. And we came up with a program called REMAG, about covering about 5,000 hectares of mangrove cover along the coast of Gujarat. Uh, After that, over a period of time, Vikas has covered about 2,000 hectare with help from different corporates, government, and other institutions to build the green cover along the coast. Next. As a result of that, we have planted 6 million trees and generated 3,26,000 person days of work, and it covers about 8 villages. And the funding was Gujarat Ecology Commission, SR and Adani, and Tata Chemicals. Next. As a result of that, because of that green cover, people started sort of feeding to their animals. They started getting leaves for the fodder and others. Next. This also helped generate fisheries in this area, and it actually augmented the fish catch in this area. So livelihood of the local people started triggering, and it became more enhanced. Next. Then we started sort of putting our focus on the larger region, and that is the state of Gujarat. And we started looking at what are the concerns of this area. And we found out that Gujarat has 1,600-kilometer long coastline, huge industrial and infrastructure investments. 25% of the state population is linked with the coast of Gujarat, And people are engaged in agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, fisheries, industries. And the concern is that India is among the second among 16 extreme risk countries for the climate change. Gujarat identified as the highest risk state because it's a coastline state, and valuable economic assets and human life and animal life are at risk because of increased cyclones and tsunami and other kind of things. So we thought we must address this issue. Next. There was a study done by ISRO and National Sustainable Coastal Management Center, and they found out that this 25%, 27% of our coast is getting eroded. The sea is eating away into our state of, I mean, the coast of Gujarat, and therefore we need to do something about it through mangroves and other kind of plantation. Next. We found out that Gujarat state is definitely looking at some of these issues, but their focus is more on energy, like solar energy, wind energy, and others. But they are not really looking at, and there is a need for developing agriculture based, forestry based programs to fight, combat the climate change. Next. And this program is what we wanted to sort of come up with. Next. Sorry. BioShield. BioShield was born out of this thing. BioShield is basically a green cover of multi-layer plantation, multi-species plantation, comprising of mangroves, energy plants, and fruit trees and fodder cultivation. And this is the dream that we have. We would like to sort of have a green wall along the coast of Gujarat. Next. So what we have done is that in 2016 to 2018, we took some funds from a corporate and developed 1 kilometer length of BioShield, which is mangroves, Salvadora, fruit trees, and then fodder plants. As a 1 kilometer length, we wanted to demonstrate that this can be done. Next. After that, we approached climate change department and we got sanction for about 15-kilometer long coast belt. So today we have about 18-kilometer long green wall, which is having mangroves and many other species, which is a green cover protecting our coast. And we wish to sort of next, we wish to sort of expand this to cover the entire coast of Gujarat. We have found out that there are about 250 villages of coast in 25 talukas, 11 districts, can have 2 crore 50 lakh plants, and which will generate about 16 lakh man days of work over a period of next 5 years. So this is what we are trying to pursue the the future program of Gujarat. Next. Why it is significant? It is significant because it fights climate change, it addresses poverty, it generates green wealth in a non-disruptive way. It doesn't destroy or disrupt anybody's life. It is intergenerational equity. It is very important that it doesn't help only the present generation, but it goes beyond. The benefits go beyond the present generation, generation after generation. And it is a collaborative in nature in terms of government, industry, civil society, and community. All can work together on such a program. So this is very significant initiative which combines the economic development and ecological development of the coast of Gujarat. If you put that into that context and see if it can contribute to help us fight climate change, this will be a very useful program to carry on. Next. I also wanted to share with you another environment-linked poverty development program. This is in Little Run of Kutch. You may be aware that we are producing 70% of the salt of the nation. All the salt that is being produced has also led to a lot of chemical, salt-based chemical industries in Gujarat. So there is a huge development potential in salt industry. A large part of the salt is produced on the coast, but there is a patch of about 5,000 square kilometer in Little Run of Kutch, which is where 10,000 families are producing salt every year by pumping out underground brine. This is called inland salt, and this is unique in the entire country that we have this kind of salt. This region is also unique because we have this wild ass gudkhar, which is only available in the entire world in this region only. It's a protected species of animals. Now, it is in this region we were given the work by Care India to look at the conditions and life and living of salt producers. And we found out, and we have done some work with these people. So I would like to share that, how it affects the environment and poverty. Next. Well, did this study, two things shocked us. One was that when people die in salt producing area, their feet have to be cut because they don't burn along with the body. And this is because the salt, because they work in salt pans, the salt goes into their feet through the cuts, and that makes it very hard. So this is something which I thought was very inhuman. And secondly, the cost of salt. Today we eat salt at around 12 to 15 rupees. They get only 8 paisa to 10 paisa per kg. Now, this is something which is uneconomical and unacceptable. So these are the two things which really moved us to start working in this region. This was around 2005-6. And then next, and we realized that we need to sort of change the condition of these people. So we sort of convinced NABARD to give us some money to start experimenting from diesel pump to solar pump. And the reason is that when the salt production has to be done, they need money to buy diesel. Now, when they don't have money to buy diesel, they have to borrow it from the trader. Trader prefixes the price of the salt as low as 8 paisa per kg. And therefore, we thought if we can change the source of energy and make them free from the clutches of the trader, they will be able to sort of get better profitability out of this salt. And therefore, we approached NABARD and said we would like to replace the diesel pump with the solar pumps. And they gave us about 6 lakhs rupees of interest-free loan in 2008-9. And then we put two pumps there. And gradually, we started sort of convincing a lot of corporates and others to give us money to sort of experiment and develop the solar pumps. So over a period of 2 to 3 years, we got about 30 to 35 pumps in place. In between, we got an award. So we used all the money to provide 10 more pumps into the region. And as a result of all that, we found out that salt producers are saving about a lakh rupee per year. But at the same time, they are saving 4 metric tons of carbon dioxide emitting into the environment. So we thought it is environmentally safe and sound, as well as economically making a lot of sense. We approached government of Gujarat, and we could convince government to give subsidy, 80% subsidy to 5,000 families in Little Run of Kutch to establish from diesel pump to solar pump, to switch from diesel pump to solar pump. I'm very happy to report that we have got 3,500 families who have benefited from this thing. So state is saving about 35 crore rupees worth of diesel every year in Little Run of Kutch. We as an organization have only developed and installed 362 pumps. Next. And as a result, we have been able to save diesel worth 10.48 lakhs. Money saved is 9.6 crore, and carbon emission is about 2,600 metric tons. So again, this is a good example of how environment and economic development of the poor people can be linked together. Next, we are now sort of using this to bring this technology to farmers, small farmers in tribal belt, where we are combining solar pump with the drip irrigation. There are a lot of people who are doing drip work, and there are a lot of people who are working in solar pump. But we are trying to sort of combine both and see if we can really save water as well as energy, which will both be scarce as we go along in our future. And therefore, if this model is successful, we are using this, and we have done demonstration with 10 families, and it has been very good. The results are very good. We would like to scale this up to about 10,000 families so that we can, as a state of Gujarat, we will be able to save a lot of water and energy for doing agriculture work. So this is in nutshell. We are trying to see, if you see the thread in all these three initiatives, is basically to link poverty and upgrade the quality of life of the poor people by improving the quality of environment in the region. So both the objectives are being resolved in these things. And this is something which I wanted to share today with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, shall we take the
Questions? Yeah.
questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, there is one question that despite environmental emergency, many countries, including India, are not ready to meet the carbon emission goals, citing the developmental priority of the country. In such situations, how to check a global warming and ensure the sustainable development? Like Sri Lanka faced the problem of low productivity due to the organic farming. So how we can ensure the sustainable development through it?
Well, I have shown in all three, demonstrated in all the three things. We have not compromised on the income of the people. We, in fact, have enhanced their income, their profitability. On the other hand, we have also seen that our consumption of diesel, consumption of fossil fuel is actually reducing. So you can combine some of these ideas with economic development with the, and I think this is precisely the point we are trying to make, that it is possible to combine this economic development with environmental development and addressing the low carbon ecology. And we have no choice, we all have to do it, so we will have to work towards it.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question, which is the person is asking that mangrove plantation on the coastal areas of small run of Kutch is the in the Surendranagar district actually helped to conclude the expansion of the sea level.
Well, you are mixing up two things. Mangrove plantation is non along the coast of Gujarat, but not on Little Run of Kutch. It is Little Run of Kutch. Our work is on solar pumps. But to answer your question, mangrove plantation stops soil erosion and it also stops the sea level rise. It actually reduces the impact of sea level rise so that soil erosion stops and salinity advancement also stops. You would be interest to know that every year we are losing 800 hectare of good agricultural land due to salinity ingress along the coast. So we need to really plant as many mangroves as possible wherever it is possible. See, mangroves can't grow everywhere. On sandy beaches and others, you can't grow mangroves. Mangroves will be only grown where there are mud flats. So wherever you find that area, you need to really plant mangroves so that you stop the soil erosion and sea level rise.
Uh, Thank you, sir. One more question is the mangrove plantation help to bring in more rain in the areas and enhance the water table.
Yes, it does. It does create a microclimate, which is better. This thing it stops the salinity winds, saline winds to come into agriculture land. So mangrove helps in several ways. First of all, it stops the soil erosion. Erosion is a major issue. Secondly, it actually stops the salinity in the region and also provides impetus to fishery activities, fodder availability to animal husbandry. It also helps in improving the productivity in agriculture. And as a result of that, the water tables and others really starts improving the quality of underground water. And
Thank you, sir.
we have kept the records of over a period of time the changes that are taking place into the local ecology of the area.
So your speak does include the answer of this question, but again the person is asked maybe for little more understanding that how does your work link to the global agenda of the environmental governance and the sustainable development goals?
Well, I think this is precisely what I have been
Yes, yes. So
advocating. That, yeah, I think
I
it is
know.
basically fitting into that. See, normal understanding is that for development we have to destroy environment. I think that is where the entire thesis is different. The thesis is, yes, you can do economic development while doing, and whose economic development we are talking. That's why I said the significance of the work that we are doing is basically sort of combining both the agendas of economic development and environmental development.
Again, the similar question, which already was the part of your session, is that to share. The person is requesting you to share your experience while cultivating this green wall for the state, for the Gujarat.
Well, uh, the experience has been it has happened. The 18-kilometer wall has happened out of 1600 kilometer. 18 kilometer is small, but at least 18 kilometer has happened, and it gives us hope that we can really expand it. Well, the challenges are many. You have to face that. The challenges are local communities involvement, government's involvement, industries involvement, because sometimes the interest of different interest groups clash. So you have to find a way out of these things to see that you can encourage more people to sort of look into these things. And I have been fortunate to get help from different quarters, both industries as well as this. We have worked with industries. Most of our work has happened with the funds from the industries and government. So it is possible to do it, and communities have benefited out of these things. And I would invite anyone to come if they want to see. Yeah.
Sure, sir. We all will be with the GLS family. Will be there for the practical knowledge on it. Sir, one more question is that what are the threats that mangrove ecosystem face? Threats
Uh,
that
the basic threat is sort of cutting of the mangroves, let's for by the local people for fodder and others, the free grazing in the mangroves and others. That's the first threat. Secondly, industry wants always cost for their development. So you have to see that the conflicting interest between the industrial interest and the interest of the local people are sort of resolved. Fortunately, mangroves are a protected species by law, and therefore government is very sensitive to these issues. Gujarat Coastal Zone Management Authority and other committees are always giving clearances after studying what are the conditions on the ground and whether they are destroying mangroves. In fact, industries are being encouraged to plant, if they get in environment clearance, to plant more mangrove trees along the coast. So, in fact, industries are incentivized, and also sort of as part of compliances, they are asked to do mangrove plantation along the coast, and industries are complying with that.
Sir, the next question is based on the SDG and the 2030 agenda. The person is asking that what would be the different kind of issues and the problem that developing countries especially will are facing for achieving the sustainable development goals in their region.
Well, definitely the economic, the way we are expanding, our population is expanding, our demands and needs are expanding, industrial activity is growing. So on one agenda, one hand, we would like to achieve a much higher economic growth, but at the same time, as our Prime Minister and other government is actually pledging that we would have a major shift from a fossil fuel to renewable energy sources. And if we can achieve those targets, I'm sure we would be able to balance both the needs of a developing countries do face this problem. And I think India is on a threshold of a very major breakthrough in terms of really showing how to the world how we can sort of combine both the things. And I think our
Yes.
government is alive to this issue in a big way.
Yes, sir. The next question is again similar to this SDG. It is asking that, as you just said, that we have to balanced with the trade, investment, and with the green earth. So, what can be the best action plan for it, and how it can be achieved with the green earth and the industrial development
Yeah,
too?
basically what we need is, you see, if you look at Gujarat, Gujarat has three broad economic development regions. One is the whole tribal belt, which has a very different kind of ecological resources, which are there like forest and others to be utilized for industrial development. Minerals are there. There is a second belt, which is the urban belt, between Mehsana and to Bombay, which has a very different kind of economic development activities that are taking place. The third one, which is the most critical and which is most integral part of the larger Gujarat economic development, is the coast. The coast is not only serving Gujarat, but it is also serving the nation, because we are the energy capital, where energy is actually coming in terms of inputs as well as going out as an export, as well as providing energy to the industries in the state. Now, the most important thing which needs to be done is to sort of have a very sound land use policy along the coast, where there are areas which are no-go areas and there are areas which are earmarked for industrial development. And this, we must combine the green development with the industry, with the industrial development. Industrial development, nobody should say no, but at the same time, it can't be haphazard. It has to be something where, and we have to have a stricter monitoring mechanism for industries to sort of follow their rules and this thing. And I think ESG standards are now getting more and more enforced into the industrial development. There is a whole lot of compliances will come to the industry for complying with the environmental laws and other environmental these things. The industries also needs to be incentivized for that. And I think this is something where we are all moving towards that direction.
Thank you, sir. One more question. A person is asking that what was your experience to make the indigenous people or local people agreeing on what you are having the new project, because many time it has been observed that they don't, because of the illiteracy and all, they don't easily get into the process, and how you have convinced, and what was your experience towards it?
First of all, it does take a lot of time and effort to sort of get engaged with the communities. I have spent, and my colleagues have spent a lot of time. There are no shortcuts in these things. It's like building relationships. People may be illiterate, but not uneducated. I think there is a difference between literacy, and education. People are aware. People are aware. People are more pragmatic. We need to really build a relationship. And I think all relationships like needs time, needs faith to be created. It has taken me years, and I started with black hair. Today I have all white hair. It has taken 45 years. Today, if you come to that region, people will, they are my friends, right? And so you have to invest with sincerity and honesty of purpose. I made it very clear that I have no religious or political agenda. I've come here to work, and this is my job. So my livelihood is also linked with this program. I have not done free, so I'm not doing any free service. I'm taking salary for doing what I'm doing. And so for me, this is work. And that work, it's like if I was practicing in Ahmedabad as an architect, I'm working as a professional here to do something else. This is also a professional work. And I can tell you and assure you that people do see the reason. People see through you after some time. And that took me time to build the credibility, but it is not me alone. There are a lot of people who have worked with me, and all of us have invested a lot into the community. Like any relationships, you have to invest in relationships. It's like husband and
Yes.
wife. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, with your permission, can we take couple of questions more, or
Oh, of course, you go ahead, please. Please.
sir? So, one person is asking about the policies which are directing at the protection and the conservation of the mangroves.
Yeah, there is.
Do we have-
It's a protected species. By even Supreme Court has said this. So anybody who cuts it, like we have so many incidences where there were salt pans who were coming in the areas where we have done mangroves. So I'll give you an example. And one industry actually start. I mean, salt pan workers were actually cutting the mangroves. We filed a complaint to the collector, and he ordered that salt pan to close the operations, give us the compensation to re-establish the mangroves. So it can happen, and government does acts on it. So that is one. It is my personal experience. It is not once but 2 3 times we have done it. We had a major salt pan coming there. We have stopped that development of that salt pan and said already the mangroves are existing and you can't just sort of manipulate it. You have to protect it. So under law, you are protected. The mangroves are protected species, and that's a very good thing for us as a country. And I think we should be proud of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the next question is that civil society has participated in the process of negotiation for the new sustainable development agendas. How can we quantify its contribution to the final document, sir?
Well, I wouldn't be able to respond to that. I'm not aware of all the, I mean, how to quantify and all that. I don't think I will respond to that. I'm sorry.
Um, no problem, sir. The next question is: will switching to the clean and renewable sources of the energy be viable and affordable for the common people to promote the environmental sustainability?
Yes, it will be. Eventually, yes. You see, when I started solar parks in 2008-9, the solar panel cost was 110 rupees per watt. Today, it has crashed to 21 rupees per watt. So it is now becoming more and more cheap, and renewable energy, particularly solar, would be more affordable to a lot of people. Wind is still a little expensive, but it will come down. Eventually, when the scale grows, the things will begin to sort of make it more possible. And we all have to realize that we are otherwise going to pay a very heavy cost of not using it. We all have to reduce the carbon footprint as we go along. We have no choice. As a human race, we have no choice.
Sir, one more question we will be taking. That the person is asking for your thoughts on the United Nation Environmental Program and its theme that is only one Earth. What are your views on this theme of UNEP?
No, no, no. I mean, there is only one Earth anyway. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I have
Sir,
no.
there
I'm sorry.
are many there are many questions, but more of them are already been answered with this open floor forum, and others was there in your PPT and during your speech. So with your permission, shall we take the Harit, move on the next
Please.
segment that is
Yeah,
for the Harit
yeah,
place?
yeah. Please.
Okay, sir. So for the same, I just need to have some instructions for my students, sir. For the
Yeah.
same, we have one PPT to show uh, for my students, just kind of to make them a little acquaint with the page, e-page. Student, the all link is already been sent on your WhatsApp college group. Um, you will be, directed by clicking on the same. You will be directed to this page, and then you have to click on the take place. You have to fill up all these details which is asked, and uh, then you have to select your language, whatever we have English, many languages with regional languages also. You can select any language you are comfortable with, available in the portal, and then we will be taking with uh, the the harit page, the green page. Sir, ma'am, with your permission, shall we
Go ahead,
take?
dear. Go ahead.
Ji, ma'am.
Yeah.
So this is the page which is the final one, and after which you will be given a certificate from the government of Gujarat. मैं पृथ्वी और उसके प्राकृतिक पर्यावरण की रक्षा करने की पूरी कोशिश करूंगी। मैं ऐसी आदतें अपनाऊंगी जिससे संसाधनों की कम से कम बर्बादी हो, मैं जो उपयोग कर चुकी हूँ उसका पुनः उपयोग करूँगी। मैं सिंगल यूज़ प्लास्टिक सामग्री का उपयोग नहीं करूँगी। मैं प्लास्टिक बैग की जगह पर पेपर बैग और कपड़े की बैग का इस्तेमाल करूँगी। मैं पर्यावरण की सफाई का ध्यान रखूँगी। मैं कम से कम कचरा करूँगी। मैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पेड़ लगाऊँगी। मैं ऊर्जा और पानी का संरक्षण करूँगी और मैं प्रतिज्ञा लेती हूँ कि मैं स्वच्छ भारत और हरित भारत की प्लेज को यहाँ पे लेती हूँ।
Good.
Thank you,
Very good.
sir.
Thank you. That's very good.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you, sir. So every event calls for an end, and for the same, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Hiral Shukla for the official vote of thanks. Hiral, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jia ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all viewing the session on the e-platform of Faculty of Law, organized to mark the World Environment Day celebration. Sir, the session delivered by an environment expert like you was a very enriching one, not only for the students of law, but all the viewers who had joined the session today. I would like to take the opportunity to thank you on behalf of Faculty of Law, GLS University, for your time and the valuable insight you shared with us today. Your session has definitely given a different perspective to our viewers to understand the complexities of environment and its challenges better. Climate change has forced the humanity at large to act actively to preserve the environment and protect it from further damage. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your rich research experience in a nutshell. I would also like to thank our dear director, ma'am, Dr. Mayuri Pandya, for being with us in each and every step. Her never ever give up attitude is only the reason why Faculty of Law keeps organizing various successful events. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us always. I would also like to thank my colleagues, teaching and non teaching staff, without whom these events would not have been possible. Let us all pledge to protect the Mother Earth in our own little ways. Thank you so much. Over to you, Gianna.
Thank you, Hiral, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very